morning. So we're going to go ahead and, I know you're not there yet. So for those at home, there was a lot of kvetching this morning about subordinates and employees. And I think some of the terms I heard was snowflakes and needing to bubble wrap people or something to that effect. So we're going to take a little bit of time to decompress first. So I have like all of you to stand up, literally, and you were just going to shake things out because I wanted us to start seated, but like, I think we need to shake some things out. So shake your arms, shake your legs, shake your face, shake your butt, just shake things around, kind of like a dog that when it has a traumatic incident, shakes it off, and then it can sit back down and start. Okay. All right, let's have a seat now. And when you find yourself seated, I want you to just take a few moments to close the eyes. And I want you to take some audible breaths. So big breath in. Oh. 2 more just like that. Big breaths in. Oh. And last one, big breath in. Oh. Awesome. And then just continue to notice your breath. And with the eyes closed or the gaze down, I want you to sit as tall as you can and just notice what you notice. So this week I've been noticing that in my own practice, I have to sometimes remind myself that the purpose is not to just put my body into shapes, but to actually breathe and notice what's happening while I'm in those shapes. And so as we're here in this moment, I want you to just check in and notice what you notice. What do you feel? How do the shoulders feel in relationship to your hips? Are they aligned over them? Do you feel any contraction or stretch happening, maybe along the torso or along the back? Do you notice any tension around the throat, the jaw, the eyes? Do you notice if you can relax the hands a little bit? Is there any furrows happening around your eyebrows? And you just notice what you notice. Good morning, Julie. And just take a few breaths here, reminding yourself that the purpose of this practice is to intentionally breathe so that we can breathe when we're finding ourselves in those moments off the mat where we do want to kvetch and complain and strangle somebody physically or metaphorically. And so you'll just take the next 3 breaths here to sit a little taller and notice how you can breathe a little deeper. And then at the end of your 3rd exhalation, I'd like you to gently just bring one hand to rest on your heart space. And then you'll bring the other hand to rest on the heart space. And you'll just take a few moments to breathe right here, right into both of these hands, noticing what this feels like to make contact with you. Your breath is the opportunity for you to ground your mind, to make contact with you. And this is also going to be our starting point for the physical stuff. So I want you to use the bottom hand and push slightly into your chest. Press the top hand slightly into the bottom hand and pull down as you start to reach your chin forward and then up towards the sky. And as the chin starts to go forward and up towards the sky, you may do as Sandy said and make a scar face. So your chin or your bottom jaw of teeth will come, Godfather, I'm sorry, wrong person. Godfather your face, or like maybe a pug or a bulldog. The bottom teeth separate from the top teeth and they come forward. And that just helps you find a little stretch there. Or maybe you could do a little Al Capone, or I don't know who the Godfather was, but you're just making Don Corleone. Thank you. That actually does make more sense. Okay, and then you'll gently lower the chin down and you'll breathe. And then we're going to drop our right ear over to our right shoulder. And then again, you're going to turn your chin down towards your right shoulder, pulling slightly down on the hands again. And if you'd like, you'll slide your hands a little bit over towards your left shoulder, pull down with the hands as you reach your chin towards the right shoulder. And then maybe you'll reach your chin up towards the sky as you're still pulling down sort of on the left pec area. And you might find the stretch happening across the top of the left neck. Okay. And then we'll gently release that and you'll come back through center. You might slide your hands now over to the right as you drop your left ear over towards the left. And again, you're putting a little bit of pressure with the hands, so they're pulling down. And then maybe you'll turn your chin towards your left shoulder, looking down. And then maybe you'll turn your chin up towards the sky. Or just pulling down slightly and gently on that right pec chest. And then you'll gently release that and come back through center. And now both hands will come to the back of our head. And you're going to interlace the fingertips at the webbing and push your head into your hands into your head. And really just try to find some length across the back of the neck. And then you might even take the chest slightly forward and up. Awesome sauce. And then we'll gently release that. From here, go ahead and open both arms out, right to left. Reach your arms in front of you as you do little flamenco twirls. So little flamenco twirls forward, until both hands come in front of you. There we go. Once both hands are in front of you, go ahead and come to stillness. Cross your right arm underneath your left and keep crossing your left arm all the way over to the right as you bend the right elbow. Now, as you keep pulling this elbow in towards your chest, you might then peek over your left shoulder. You might lift and lower that left shoulder, but you're finding a stretch happening on your left arm. And so the more you push your left arm into your right forearm and pull your right forearm into your left arm, you might find stuff happening in the back of the shoulder blades. And then again, are you breathing? Are you noticing that you can consciously breathe here? And then we'll gently release that. Both hands come forward. Switch arm on top. So now right arm is on top. Bend the left elbow as you draw the right elbow over to the left. And then you might look towards the right. And then again, maybe lift and lower that right shoulder, maybe not. But again, are you breathing? The purpose is to breathe. We're moving our bodies in and out of shape so we can relearn or reteach ourselves, rather, that we do have the capacity to alter how we're experiencing things. And often the best way to do that is just through our breath. On your next inhale, go ahead and come center. Release both hands to the floor. A few more things just to work. So inhale, lift your left arm up. Turn your left hand to face behind you. And then you're going to bend your left elbow. Right hand comes to the top of the left tricep. Really externally rotate it, which is odd, but that means you're going to turn the outer flesh closer to your face. Lift your elbow a little higher, grab the top of your left elbow, and then let the left hand slide down the back. Now that we're here, you might notice that all your front ribs flared. See if you can draw them in and back. Push your butt down and sit a little taller. Now see if you can soften tension around your mouth. Yeah. And bring your chin parallel-ish to the floor. And the more you can, keep the pelvis rooting down, chin parallel-ish to the floor, you'll find a stretch happening across the back body. And you've just got 2 more breath cycles there. And I noticed that when I was doing that this week, I found a lot of crazy fun stuff happening in my back body. So really root down into your pelvis, draw your front ribs into your back body, and lift up through the elbow. Yeah, front ribs into your back body. Mm-hmm. On your next in breath, we're gently going to release that. So both arms up. Go ahead and do the opposite side. So bend the right elbow, grab the fleshy part of the right tricep, externally rotate it. Then once the right arm has gone high, grab the right elbow, pull the right elbow into the left as you push it out to the right. And then again, check in with your sit bones. Make sure both sit bones are weighted. Yep. Draw the front ribs into the back body. Yep. Push your head straight back. Yep. Oh gosh, hello back body. And any work that's going on there is A-okay, and we're breathing, and we're breathing. Can we let go of any tension in our face as we sit tall? Yep. And draw our front ribs into the back body. Mm-hmm. And you got 2 more breath cycles there, staying as tall as you can, noticing those back muscles starting to work already in this position. Notice if you can deepen the breath. Awesome sauce. The end of your next exhalation. We'll gently inhale and reach both arms up. And then reach your arms out to the side. Go ahead and turn your thumbs to face the floor, palms to face back. Reach your arms back behind you and interlace. I forgot to give you guys rose stuff. Interlace your hands behind your back. Now here you'll draw your shoulders towards each other, the elbows towards each other, and then you're going to start to dip your chin towards your chest. And then you're going to play with finding a neck stretch again for you here. So it might mean that you just drift your chin to one shoulder and then the other. It might mean you drift an ear to one shoulder and then another. It might mean you lift the elbows a little higher, but you're playing with noticing what you notice. And then you're noticing how that's impacting your ability to breathe. Fantastic. We've got one more breath cycle here. And then as you're ready, you'll gently release the hands alongside the hips, bring the head back to center. Last thing before we move on. Both hands out to the right and to the left. Lift your left arm up, and then we're going to take a little side bend over to the right. And this time I want you to really focus on rooting down through your left hip, pushing down into your right hand and sliding your whole rib cage towards the left. And then notice where your head is. I've noticed that for me this week, probably because of all the crunching and sitting in this desk, my head is coming a little forward. So notice what's going on for you and make sure it's a true lateral side bend. You might need to bend your right elbow just a little bit so that you can push the floor away and slide your ribs to the left. And then relax your jaw. Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and gently come up. Lower the hand. Just notice what you notice between the sides. And then we'll try the left side. So right arm will sweep up, left arm plants to the left. And as you exhale, little side bend towards the left. And then again, notice, is it a true lateral side bend? Is your head a little forward? Is your rib forward? Or is it literally to the side? And then do you need to bend the left elbow so you can slide the ribs to the right? Root down through the right hip, reach out through the right fingers and say, hello, intercostals, are we breathing? Nice job. Fantastic. On your next in-breath, let's go ahead and come up through center. Go ahead and lower both hands down. We'll now transition forward to hands and knees. Before we do that, both blocks come to the upper outer corners of your space. I do encourage that blanket for today, and you'll put the blanket underneath your shin bones. And so, Sandy, you missed last week, we talked about fluffy breaths. Fluffy breaths. Yeah. We are probably going to practice some fluffy breaths, yes. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do when we find ourselves on hands and knees is we're going to do the navicular stretch today. So separate your knees outer hip distance apart. Take your right foot over towards your left foot. Lift your left foot up. Bring the left foot into the arch of your right foot. And then start to walk yourself back. Your blocks are here in case you need them. So take them with you if you need them. If you don't, that's fine too. But then you might start to walk your knees a little closer together. You might lift your left knee, push your left foot down, and start to drag your left foot to the right or to your left. And then this would be a great time for fluffy breaths. So fluffy breaths are just like sound on the exhale. Yeah, okay. And you're just noticing what that does. So what it's doing is it's helping release or activate your vagus nerve. Go ahead and come forward, which helps the parasympathetic nervous system come online. So you'll go ahead and switch sides. So now left foot comes towards the right foot lifts, top of right foot comes into sole of left foot, and then you'll start to walk your bum back towards your feet. Blocks are there if you need and or want them. You might then walk your feet closer together, knees closer together, and then lift your right knee, that's the top foot, and then push down and slide your right foot towards your left big toe. And then fluffy breaths. Big audible exhales, reminding yourself that you do breathe. You can breathe. Breathing is a thing that we can do. All right. Or not. And then let's go ahead and come forward, hands and knees. This time, curl both sets of toes under. Walk your hands back towards your knees and sit on top of your heels. You might then curl both sets of pinky toes under because they tend to escape. And then we'll sit nice and tall. Make little fists with your hands. Bring your hands to your head. And without breaking your elbows, you're going to do 10 of these. You'll exhale and contract the elbows to touch each other as close as they'll get. And then you'll inhale and open them back up. And you don't want to bend the elbows. So you see how you can move without bending the elbows. So Erica. Yes, yep. You do roll on different parts of the fingers, but you want to keep that as one long line. You're not bending this part. Yeah. Did I say elbows? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't bend your wrists. Don't bend your elbows, although they're already bent. No, yeah, don't bend your wrists. You want to keep the wrists neutral. And we're just doing these. And as best as you can, you want to see if you can squeeze the arms open so that engages the back body. And then squeeze the arms shut. This is a little distraction. So then you notice that you're breathing and you notice that all your attention isn't on the soles of your feet, which at this point in time, probably you're talking to you guys quite a bit. And I wasn't counting. Did we do 10 yet? We did? Okay, Roberta said we did 10. So we did 10. So let's go ahead and come forward, hands and knees. Happy little pitter patter of your feet. Pitter patter of the feet. And then if you'd like, you'll shift your weight back, lifting one end or both knees up and away from the floor. And just feel how that feels. Notice if you're breathing and how that feels. And when you feel complete with all that, we're going to find ourselves back onto hands and knees once again. And you guys are going to take 5 cats and cows. And when you find yourself in your cats and cows, I want you to just really breathe. I want you to breathe like you've never breathed before. I want you to imagine this is the first time somebody's ever told you, oh, look, you can breathe in and you can breathe out. And it might be the first time today that you've had the time to consciously breathe. It might be the first time this week. No matter what it is, you're just noticing what it feels like to really be in your body this moment in time. All right. After you've done about 5 sets of cats and cows, you're going to take a pause in your cow shape. So belly drops, head lifts, tailbone lifts. Go ahead and curl both sets of toes under. And then exhale, start to push yourself back towards your downward facing dog, keeping both of your knees super duper 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 bent. Super duper 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 bent. Super duper 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 bent. Lift your front ribs away from the floor. Press your shoulders down into your hands, your hips up, towards the sky. And blossom those buttocks as though you're a happy little peacock that's trying to mate. Why don't I say that? I don't know, but you're just going to breathe. Happy little peacock. Or a turkey, But the turkeys don't want to be seen because then we eat them. Peacocks, they're okay. So keep blossoming your pelvis. Yep, and maybe separate your feet from me just a little bit, Erica, and see if that feels better on your back. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. And then on our next in-breath, let's go ahead and come forward onto hands and knees. Take a moment to push down through the hands, scoop up the low belly, and then you're going to reach your left foot back, your right arm forward, and we're going to find bird dog. And we're going to hold this for an uncomfortably long period of time. So there's your heads up. As you're here, I want you to first pay attention to the back foot. Spread wide through your toes. And I want you to press back through the big toe mound so much that you feel that inner thigh lift up towards the sky. Yeah. And then flare out through your happy little pinky toe. And then see if you can match it towards your left or big toe. Fantastic. And then all of you scoop your tailbone back to meet your left heel. Yeah. Draw those front ribs in. Press the left hand into the floor for dear life and reach that right arm forward. And then notice if you can lift your right pinky finger 5 inches away from the floor. So 5 inches higher up than it currently is. And you've got 3, you've got 2, you've got 1. Exhale, lower the hand and knee. Take a cat and a cow. And I want you to then press yourself back to your downward facing dog and notice what you feel between the right and left side for having just done that on one side. What does the breath do now? What does the body do now? And then when we're ready to try that all on the other side, you'll inhale here and exhale to hands and knees. From hands and knees, we'll all take a moment to press down through our hands, and then we'll inhale, send the right foot back, the left arm forward. And again, we're going to hold it for an uncomfortably amount of time. First things first, starting with that back foot, the right foot, press back through your right big toe mound. You press through the right big toe mound to lift through the inner right thigh, and then spread wide through the pinky toe mound and roll the whole thigh to the floor. Yeah. From there, draw your tailbone straight back. So really seeing if you can lengthen from the spine. There you go. Then from there, push down into the right hand, draw the front ribs in and back, and then lift up through that left pinky finger a little more, lift up through the back of your head so it's not careening to the floor, so lift the whole head up. There we go. And you've got 3. You're doing so great. You've got 2. Look at that. We're breathing. We've got 1. As you exhale, lower the hand, lower the knee, take a cat, take a cow, and then press yourself back to your downward facing dog again and breathe. And you're just noticing. You are just noticing. What is a skill set that you have right here and now that you can employ in other areas of your life where you can remember that, hey, you know what? This crap is hitting the fan, but I can breathe. I've got the choice. That's a skill set that I've got. The tool, it's a resource. Got 1 more breath cycle here, and fluffy breaths are encouraged. So that's the audible exhale. I think, Jason, you weren't here for this either. Maybe you either, Julie. So fluffy breaths. I was taking a voice and speech class, and we awkwardly spent about 2 hours just doing fluffy breaths and awkward poses. And God love them. We had a lot of like engineers in the class, and I'm like, why did you guys sign up for this? You had no idea what you were getting into. But they were great. They did it with so much zest and gusto. I was like, good job. All right. Let's go ahead and come to stillness. Take a big breath in here. As you exhale, draw your right knee to your nose, right knee to your nose, right knee to your nose. Fantastic. Step that right foot outside of your right hand. Whoop-de-doo, yay! Now from here, I might encourage all of us to bring our hands to our blocks, but you do whatever works for you. First thing that we're going to do is bring both hands to the inside of our front foot. Now I want you to lift your back hip up, squeeze your left butt cheek quite a bit, and maybe walk that left block closer to your right block. From there, bring your right hand to the outside edge of your right thigh. Push your right thigh to the left, push your right thigh to the left, or to the right. So use your hand to push your thigh to the left and then push your thigh out towards the right, if that makes any sense. And then inhale, reach your heart and sternum forward. And as you exhale, peel the belly away on the right side and start to rotate your rib cage to the right. Now keep squeezing your left butt cheek, scoop the belly on the right side and keep looking towards the right. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will reach up through the right arm. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to check in with your back butt cheek. Is it engaged? And then are you hugging that outer right hip in? Fantastic. On your next exhalation, see if you can twist a little more. And then inhale, unwind the spine, bring both hands to the inside edge of that front foot. As you exhale, lower the back knee down to the mat. Now at this point, some of you might want to turn your blocks up to the highest setting, and you might want to start to walk the blocks back a little bit. It's totally up to you. You might also then walk the left block slightly more to the left. Again, right hand comes to the outside edge of right knee, push down into left hand, push down into right foot, scoop low belly on the right side and rotate again to the right. You might stay here happy as a clam. You might bend the back knee, reach around with your right hand, grab the outside edge of your left foot. First things first, draw your butt back to meet your heel. Glue your heel and your butt together, and then draw your pelvis forward. Pause when you find stuff happening across the front of your back leg. From there, you might then bend the top elbow, so that's the right elbow, and hug the right elbow onto your back as you peel even more of the chest towards the right. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. You can breathe. Are you doing that? Are we doing that? Are we doing that? Nice, gentle breaths. Soften any tension in the face. And then as you're ready, gently release that back foot. Both hands come to the blocks. Remove the blocks off to the right and to the left. Plant your hands on the floor. Step yourself back, downward facing dog pose. And then just take a moment to pause. And take a moment to breathe. And notice what you notice between the sides. How's the breath? How's the body? How are you? Fantabulous. And then we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, left knee comes to your nose. Pause. Step the left foot outside of your left hand. Bring both hands onto our blocks. And make sure they're on the inside edge of our front foot. Fantastic. First things first, push into your feet. Lift your back thigh. So that's the right thigh. Squeeze your right butt cheek. Bring your left hand to the outside edge of your left thigh. Push your left hand into your thigh into your hand. Push down into your right hand. Scoop the belly on the left side and start to rotate your rib cage towards the left. Now you might stay there happy as a clam. You might reach that left arm up, but we're working on keeping the back butt cheek engaged as you lift the back thigh away from the floor. So we really want to lift that thigh away from the floor. Oh, there we go, as you squeeze, and then you rotate from the rib cage so that we're finding the extension through the spine. Fantastic. On your next exhalation, twist a little bit more to the left, and then as you inhale, lower down. Lower the back knee down to the blanket, floor, or mat. And then from there, you might turn your blocks to the higher setting and walk them back. From here, you might walk the right block slightly to the right. Left hand comes back to the outside edge of your left thigh. Push thigh and hand into each other. Push down into your right block and then rotate your rib cage towards the left. You might stay here happy as a clam. I know I find stuff already happening here. You might bend the back knee, reach around with your left hand and grab the outside edge of your left foot. If you've done that, first things first, walk your butt back to your foot, glue your butt and your foot together, and then shift your pelvis forward. And then you're noticing that maybe you can then breathe as you're finding sensation across the belly of that right thigh. You might then bend your left elbow and see if you can hug the left elbow further onto your back. And then, are we breathing? We might not be breathing. Are we breathing? We're breathing. Okay, good job. And then very mindfully, you will release your back foot. Both hands will come back down to your blocks. You'll remove your blocks. You'll plant your hands. You'll straighten the back leg and step back to downward facing dog. Fantabulous. People at home that don't have little blanket fairies, you might need to remove your blanket. People in person that have blanket fairies, the blanket fairy's coming. What? Yep. And then let's go ahead and inhale and everyone come forward into plank pose. This is going to sound weird to you all, but I want you to separate your hands a little bit wider than shoulder distance. A little bit wider than shoulder distance. Happy days. So that's going to be the thing we're going to play with today. On your next in-breath, go ahead and shift your weight forward. And as you exhale, lower all the way down to our abdomen, one piece. Fantastic. Good job, guys. Once you're on your stomach, extend the toes long against the floor. Today, we're going to pay attention first to our hands. So spread wide through your hands. I want you to push down isometrically into the hands and imagine that you're spinning your thumbs towards your pinkies. Notice how that starts to activate the shoulders. And so the shoulders now can come up and they can come together on the back just a little bit more easily. And then you can start to lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Now bring your awareness to the whole front of your body. I want you to pull your hands back as you reach your sternum forward, as you reach your pubic bone down, as you reach your tailbone back. Then reach back through your happy little legs and find all the length in the world that you can find here. And then check in with your head. Do you need to lift the head up a little bit? Is it careening to the floor? Or do you need to tuck it down a little bit because it's reaching too much to the sky? And then you'll pull the hands back, hug the shoulder blades together and see if you can lift a little higher. And we'll breathe here for 3. And we'll breathe here for 2. And we'll breathe here for 1. And then as you exhale, lower all the way down. Draw your bellies into your spine, slide your hands forward just a smidge, and then draw the belly into the spine again. Push down into your knees and come up to a push-up position, hands and knees. Curl the toes under, downward facing dog. Fantastic. All right, we're gonna build on that. I'll let you know as we go along, but that's the general thing. All right, inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. As you exhale, stay here and breathe. Spread through your toes like we did in that bird dog lunge. Notice that as you spread through your left foot, you can root down more through your right, and suddenly there's more stuff happening on the back of your right calf. Are we breathing? There we go. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, knee to nose. Carefully plant that left foot between your hands this time. Bring both hands onto your blocks once again. Spin your right foot down for warrior two. So whatever that means for you, but hands stay on the block. Now I do encourage you to turn your blocks up to the highest setting, but again, you do whatever works for you. Now with your right foot in your external rotation, you're gonna bend more into your left knee. Some of us are going to keep one of our hands on the left block and start to reach forward with our right hand and then rotate our rib cage towards the right for extended side angle. Some of us will be like, yeah, Jessica, I'm not doing that. And you'll slide your left elbow on the top of your left thigh. But wherever you happen to be, I want you to breathe. You're going to keep bending into your front knee. You're going to press down like crazy into your back foot. And then I want you to see if you can rotate. Oh, there you go. See if you can rotate from the left ribs under the right ribs up and then find length in your head. Yeah. On your next in breath, notice how you're breathing. Really notice how you're breathing. As you're ready, inhale, sweep your right arm back and come to Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. And then just pause. How much energy and awareness do you have in that back hand? I saw you standing. Where can you soften any unnecessary tension? How can you continue to bend into that front knee, finding your full depth of expression while still breathing softly and easily? Yeah. On your next in-breath, go ahead and push the floor away to straighten your front leg. Take a moment to just breathe here. We never stay in this pose. Pull your front kneecap up and then just pause and breathe and pause and breathe. And then as you're ready, you'll exhale, bend the front knee, cartwheel the hands down to the floor, pause in that low lunge position for a moment. So hands back down to the floor, pivot to the ball of your back foot, and notice the depth in the hips that's happening right here. And then as you're ready, exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Consciously noticing what you notice. Laura, bend your knees a bit for me. Yep, and then keep pressing your pelvis up towards where the, aha, nice. And then Jason, close your front ribs and lift your armpits slightly away from the floor. There we go. Let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. And then pause here for a few breaths. Spread wide through that right foot, really pressing out through the foot, noticing what that does to your left arch, noticing what that does to your breath. Can you still breathe consciously and deliberately? Nice job, guys. On your next exhalation, draw that right knee towards your nose and then carefully plant the foot down. Bring both hands to your blocks and then spin your left foot down to the floor for Virabhadrasana 2 legs. Great. Now you might want to bring both blocks to the highest setting. Some of you will stay right here and just push down into your right hand as you reach your left arm forward. And then you're going to push down into your left foot and start to rotate your rib cage over towards the left. And some of you will slide your right elbow on top of your right thigh. But you're just going to take a few breaths to pause. You're going to take a few breaths to breathe. And you're going to remember that you can breathe. The whole purpose of this practice is to allow ourselves to find more of ourselves. And so you'll see if you can find more length on your underside. Yep. You'll see if you can find more openness across the heart as you root down through the feet. And then you'll remind yourself that you can breathe. So just notice how you're breathing here. Is there any tension around the face, the jaw, the mouth? And if so, fluffy breaths are our friends. There we go. Last breath cycle here. Yep. And then as you're ready, let's inhale and come up to Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. And then again, you got a few breaths here. And in this time, careful. And if you fall, you fall. But notice what's happening in your breath. Notice what's happening in your jaw. Our mouths tend to clench a lot. Our throats tend to clench a lot. I think all sitting in front of our TVs and computers and cell phones and stuff. This has us clenching a lot. So then notice where you can soften, even as you find your stability. Yeah. Good breath. Yep. Now you just keep breathing, finding your depth, finding your swing. That's what I meant to say, Roberta. Good swing. So swing on your rib cage means that your rib cage opens and expands when you breathe. And then as you're ready, you'll press the floor away, straighten your front leg, and just take a few breaths there. Draw your front kneecap up as you press your right sit bone down into your right big toe and just let your rib cage swing. And then as you're ready, you'll exhale, bend the front knee, pivot the hands down to the floor, pivoting onto the ball of the back foot. Pause there for a brief, awkward moment in that low lunge. And then on your next exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment to pause and breathe and notice the spine. Notice the back of the body as well as the front of the body. And then let's inhale and come forward into plank pose. Again, separate your hands wider than your shoulders. Now, you're going to take a big breath in. As you exhale, you're going to give me a little push up, and you're going to inhale and come back up. Oh, buddy, good job. And then on your next exhale, shift your weight forward and lower all the way down. Yeah, fantastic. Extend the tops of the feet onto the floor. Slide your hands back an inch. Hug them in close to your rib cage. Now spread wide through your hands. So you push your thumb down into the floor and isometrically drag it out towards your pinky finger. Now, once you do that, you can then activate the shoulders. So the shoulders come up and the shoulder blades come onto the back body as you do that. And then the ears naturally just want to lift so they're in alignment. Then notice how you can lift the back of your skull just a little bit. Yep. So that the whole neck is long. Draw your chin to your chest slightly, but yeah, there you go. Now from here, I want you to pull your front body forward, but lengthen your feet back. And then from here, inhale, just lift your right leg up and away from the floor. See if you can reach it so far back and then lower it back down. And then the same thing on the left side, reach it so far back and then all the way down. And then on your next in-breath, you're going to reach both legs so far back. Now pause here. With your legs reaching back, you'll notice that your weight can shift back a little bit. So pull your hands forward, lengthen your tailbone back. See if you can lift your legs a little higher. See if you can lift your chest and head a little higher. Fantastic. And then if you'd like, you're going to hover your arms away from the floor for 3. Squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back for 2. Draw the chin towards the chest for 1. Yep. And on your next exhale, lower the hands, lower the chest, lower the legs. Everything comes down. Great. Curl both sets of toes under. Press the knees down, slide the hands forward just a smidge. And then as you're ready, push down through hands and knees, come up through that modified push-up position. Straighten the legs and press back to downward facing dog. Great, 3 breaths. And then just notice. Notice what you notice. How's the breath? How's the body? How are you? The more we can remind ourselves that we do have the choice in terms of how we're breathing, the more we can allow ourselves to remind ourselves that we do have the choice in terms of how we're thinking, which means we do have the choice in terms of how we're experiencing things. So the breath is a very powerful thing. So let's go ahead and move on. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, draw your right knee to your nose. Fantastic. Plant that foot between your hands. Bring your hands to your blocks. Now for this one, I would encourage you to bring your blocks to the highest setting. You're going to spin your left foot down to the floor, so your left toes are pointing to the left upper corner of your mat. And then I would encourage you to walk your blocks back so you can straighten your front leg long. Now from here, you might even need to come up onto your pinky fingers to blossom your buttocks back like that happy turkey peacock thing. Reach your heart and sternum forward. And then we're going to scoop our belly and see if we can reach our sternum forward towards our right big toe. That may or may not happen. And then you'll allow your head to descend. And if you need to adjust the blocks, you adjust the blocks. So we wanted to use the blocks to find our length. And then once we find ourselves there, we'll draw our outer right hip back. You'll lift up through your inner left thigh and you'll press from your right sit bone, keeping a slight bend in that front knee for my hypermobile people all the way down into your right big toe. And then you'll pause and you'll breathe and you'll pause and you'll breathe and say, hello, Parsvottanasana. Hi, happy hamstrings. All right. And then are you breathing? Are you consciously, deliberately breathing? Or are you just trying to wait until this pose is over? Conscious and deliberate breaths. Fantastic. On your next in-breath, let's go ahead and bend our front knee and gaze forward. I want you to wiggle walk your right foot slightly to the right. Keep your back foot down on the floor as best as you can. Now, walk your blocks in underneath your shoulders and lift your spine until you feel a diagonal from your back foot through your butt, through your shoulder, through your head. Now from here, you're gonna bend into the front knee even more, press into the back foot and bring your spine up for Virabhadrasana 1. Hands will come to our hips for just a moment. See how much you can bend through that front knee. Press down through the outside edge of your back foot. You might need to squeeze your left butt cheek just a smidge. Fantastic. From here, go ahead and reach your left arm forward. Some of you will stay right here. Some of us are going to take a happy little side bend towards the right. Keep bending into the right knee, squeezing the left butt cheek. Some of us are going to stay right there. Some of us are going to sneak our right hand back to touch our left butt and then wrap our rib cage under so our chest comes up towards the sky for an exalted warrior variation. Oh, indeed. And fluffy breaths are good. So notice if you can soften any tension around your jaw. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. And then as you're ready, you'll bring the spine a little bit more to vertical. You'll release the right arm up to meet the left and Virabhadrasana 1 proper. You might reach the arms towards each other. They might touch, fingers might touch, they might not. You might reach the rib cage round and up and maybe gaze up. You might not do any of that, but you're just noticing if you're breathing. The purpose of the shape is to breathe. And notice if you're not breathing and then say, oh, I do have that choice. Fantastic. As you're ready, inhale, come back to center with the head. As you exhale, arms open out. Turn the thumbs to face the floor. Sweep the arms back behind you and interlace the fingertips at the webbing. Draw the shoulders up to the ears. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. And with one fist, I want you to reach the hands back and lift the heart up. Now from here, we're going to scoop the belly and start to careen our head towards our inner right knee. And it might descend all the way to the floor, but you'll just pause and you'll breathe and the hands are coming towards each other. You can see your butt cheek, so make sure the right butt cheek isn't swimming off to the right, but instead is wrapping under to the left. And then are you breathing or are you gripping the floor and gripping your face and gripping your breath? We're gripping. Okay, that's okay. And then as you're ready, the hands will come to your bum. They'll slide down the legs. They'll come to the floor. You'll pivot to the ball of your back foot. Hello, look at how deep your low lunge is now. From here, take a moment to pause and step yourself back to downward facing dog. Take a moment to breathe and just notice what you notice between the sides. Hello, right body. Hello, left body. How are we doing? And you just pause and you just breathe. And then as we're ready, we'll try the other side. So this time, inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. And then as you exhale, draw the left knee to your nose and pause. Step that foot to the mat deliberately. And then from here, hands will come back to our blocks. Blocks to highest setting. You might step your right foot slightly to the right and spin it down. And then go ahead and begin to straighten your front leg. That may require that you walk your blocks back a bit so they're directly underneath your shoulders. From there, scoop the outer left hip back, lift up through the inner right thigh and pull that left kneecap up. Press from left sit bone down towards left big toe and then blossom those buttocks like our happy little turkeys. Heart reaches forward. And then exhale, chin, sternum, everything comes forward towards that left big toe folding over our front leg. Yeah, and then we're just gonna pause and breathe. And then notice if you're hiking up tension around your shoulders, and if so, do you need to bend the elbows? Do you need to remove the blocks? Notice if you're gripping around your mouth and your jaw. Can we find our fluffy breaths? That looks good. You just pause and you breathe and notice the connection that your right pinky toe has towards the floor. Fluffy breaths, fluffy breaths, fluffy breaths. Yeah. Nice work, guys. On your next in-breath, go ahead and inhale with the heart. Start to bend your front knee. And you might wiggle walk your left foot slightly to the left. You might walk the blocks back a little bit so you can come to your fingertips and find one line from your back foot, through your back hip, through your shoulders, through your head. And then as you're ready, you'll bend more into the front knee and bring the spine up to vertical, hands to your hips. Yeah, good job. And then notice if we're breathing. Go ahead and reach up through your right arm. You might stay here happy as a clam, finding this exaltation, squeezing your back butt cheek. You might take a little bit of a side bend. Oh, that feels nice. Over to the left. And you might hang out here and breathe. Your left hand might swim around to your right butt cheek. And you might then ripple or roll the rib cage up towards the sky for an exalted warrior. So wherever you are, you're noticing that you can breathe, and you're noticing that some of these muscle groups need to stop working so that you can breathe, meaning that they can relax. They can take a happy little summer vacation. And then as you're ready, you'll bring your spine more to vertical and neutral. Reach the left arm up, find normal warrior one. The hands might reach together, they might not. The shoulder blades might wrap wide to reach the arms up. You might take the gaze up, but you'll just pause and check in with your jaw. Check in with your jaw. Awesome. On your next in-breath, bring your spine more to neutral. As you exhale, arms open out, and they come back behind you. Take the awkward opposite interlace, and then really find one palm. So you try to draw your hands as close to each other as possible. You reach them back, you reach the heart up, and then as you exhale, you'll allow the head to descend down towards your front knee, down towards the floor, arms up and overhead. Nice work. Because you can see your left hip, draw that in. Notice if you can relax your head, so you don't need to hold your head here. And then are you gripping your feet for dear life? Are you gripping your breath and your jaw for dear life? As you're ready, hands will come to your butt. They'll release down the legs. They'll come to the floor. You'll pivot to the ball of your back foot. You'll pause in that lungy position for a moment. And then you'll step yourself back to downward facing dog. Pause in your downward facing dog. All right. From here, let's go ahead and come forward into our plank pose. Separate your hands wider than your shoulders. And you've got options. You can do half, 1, 2.5, or 3.5 push-ups, but then we'll all meet on our tummy. You do what works for you. Keep your heads lifted. More is not better. You notice what happens to your breath. Yeah. Nice job, guys. Nice. Once we're all on our tummies, we'll extend the tops of our legs long. We'll take a momentary breath here because it seems like you guys need a breather. So just go ahead and bend your right knee for me. Reach around with one end or both hands. Draw your right heel to your right butt. See if you can press your pelvis to the floor as you reach out through that left leg, and just find a happy little gentle quad stretch here. And you just pause and you breathe. Are you breathing? The other thing that I was noticing this week is I think I'm starting to get a little bit of a handle in terms of the casework that I'm supposed to have for work. And then I was like, I should be doing more. It's like I had a reprieve and I had to just take the reprieve. Go ahead and switch sides when you're ready. My mentor pointed this out to me. He was like, what are you doing? If you get a break, then take your break. And then, so when you're on the left side, you just notice and you pause and you breathe. Yeah. And then we'll gently release that leg. Bring your hands alongside your ribs, thumbs roughly inside or aligned with your nipples. And then slide your hands back just a smidge. Hug the hands pretty close to your rib cage. From here, again, push down into the hands, isometrically drag thumbs out towards your pinky fingers. Notice how you can now draw the shoulders up to the ears a little bit, draw the shoulder blades onto the back, lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Find one long line with the upper part of your spine. Now, really try to make your front body super long and then your back body match that. So you engage and lengthen. From here, let's go ahead and lift our right leg up and back, engaging all the muscles around the leg and seeing if you can lift the chest a little higher as you lift that leg. Yep. And then exhale, just lower the right leg down, and then try it with the left leg. Inhale, lifting the left leg, hugging all the muscles around the bone, seeing if you can lift the chest a little higher. Yep. And then exhale, lower just the left leg down. And then of course, both legs, you're gonna see if you can reach both legs back. And then notice how your weight rocks on your pelvis a little bit. Pull the hands back, see if you can lift the chest a little higher. Fantastic. Go ahead and bend your knees now. Now flex your feet like you're gonna step on the ceiling or like you're gonna hold some child on your feet for some unknown reason. And I want you to push your child up. Lengthen your tailbone back, lift your head up. Oh, look at that. Isn't that fun and hard? Are we breathing? Fun and hard. Push your little child away, lengthen your tailbone back, lift your chest. Nice job. As you're ready, reach your legs back, lower the legs down, lower the chest down. Happy days. You took a breath. Were you breathing through any of that? Okay. You get a little breather. You get an actual legitimate little breather because I got a few more things for you. All right. Let's move on. Bring your hands alongside your ribs or not. Maybe we'll stay here for a few more breaths. People at home, you stay there because it's just like people here staying in on our tummy. Sandy says, and now it's water break. Okay. All right. Well, I was going to have you do a push-up up, but make your way to downward facing dog. Denies. Push. No more push-ups, I guess. I was going to have you push up to plank and back to down dog, but just make your way to down dog since we're halfway there. All right. Last little thing. Okay. Let's go ahead and inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. As you exhale, draw the left knee to the nose. Plant the foot between your hands. Fantastic. Bring your hands to your blocks. Turn your blocks to the highest setting. Spin your right foot down for warrior two legs, and you're going to straighten your front leg long. So we're going to move into triangle, and you are going to take this as slow as you need to. But so your legs are there first. You might walk the block on the left hand back just a little bit. You might then push from your left sit bone down to your left big toe and start to push down into the left hand to roll your left ribs under your right ribs on top. And then you might start to reach your right hand up towards the sky. I notice when I get into triangle this way, it feels a lot more intense on my side body. So you take your time getting there. Some of you will then turn your right palm to face forward and reach your right arm alongside your ears, and that will intensify the stretch you're feeling along the side body. And notice if you happen to be breathing. And if you're not, that's okay. Can you remind yourself that breathing is something that you can do? And then come back to that. You got 2 more breath cycles here. What could you do to allow yourself to take in a deeper, more effortless breath? Yeah. Last breath cycle here. Good job, guys and gals. When you're ready, the right hand comes back to the right hip. You'll bend your front knee. You'll gaze towards the floor. You're going to step that block forward and outside of your left foot. You might need to wiggle walk the right foot forward, and you'll make your way into half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. And you take your time. You'll lift up through that inner right thigh a lot. You'll stack that right hip on top of your left hip a lot. And you just focus on lifting the back inner thigh first. Yep, flexing through that foot, spreading wide through all your toes. That looks good, guys and gals. When you're ready, you'll gently wind your right hand down to the floor, square your hips to the floor, bend your front knee, step yourself back to a low lunge, and then step yourself back to a downward facing dog. And then you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Yeah. Nice work. And then we'll go ahead and try that all on the other side. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, draw the right knee to the nose. Plant your foot between your hands. Bring your hands to your blocks, highest setting, highly encouraged. And then spin your left foot to the floor, coming into your warrior two legs. You'll then start to walk the blocks back to straighten your front leg long. The right hand might stay on the right block. And then you'll start to roll your left hip on top of the right hip, roll your right ribs under, left ribs on top, and maybe then start to reach your left arm up. And again, you're taking your time. You might stay here happy as a clam. You might turn your left palm to face forward, reach the left arm alongside the ears and find that stretch along the lateral side body. And check in with your head. Is it in line with your spine or is it rounding forward? Notice if you can keep a slight bend in that front knee. And if your hand is on your front shin, push the shin into the hand as much as you're pushing the hand into the shin. And then notice if you can breathe. Is there tension around your jaw? Fantastic. One more breath cycle here, consciously, deliberately breathing. And then as you're ready, the left hand comes back to the left hip. The gaze will come down to the floor. You'll bend your front knee. You'll shift your weight forward, wiggle walk the left foot forward, lift the left leg parallel-ish to the floor, flexing through that left foot. And then with the left hip stacked on top of the right, the left shoulder stacked on top of the right, rib cage rolls to the left. You might reach up through that top arm. And we really want to lift and buoy the inner left thigh. So as though, I don't know, a fairy was sitting there lifting your whole inner left thigh away from the floor. Yeah, there we go. And then when you are ready to come out of this, the left hand will come back to the floor. You'll bend the front knee. You'll square the hips. You'll step the left foot back. You'll step the right foot back, downward facing dog. Last choice on you. You might cycle through an up dog or cobra, but we'll all meet back in child's pose when you're done. So you take your time doing what you're doing. And then you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. I think there's something very seductive about our culture in the sense that like we're kind of all addicted to work. It's like this weird valorizing thing. But I don't know if we're always breathing through the things that we find ourselves engaged with. And it's not to say that we shouldn't be busy. It's not to say that we shouldn't be productive, but I think that we need to pay more attention to when we're doing things without breathing, because then that means we're not really connected to ourselves. We're just kind of doing stuff. All right, so you've got 2 more breath cycles here, and I want you to just notice what you notice. How is the breath moving in the body at this point in time? Where do you feel it? And then gently, we're going to come out of this. So walk your hands alongside your hips. Start to push down into the floor to roll up through the spine. When you are vertical, just take a moment to settle there. Just breathe here. 2 breath cycles. Notice what that feels like. And after you've taken 2 complete exhales, the eyes will softly flutter open. You'll swing your butt to the floor, then swing your legs around in front of you. I would encourage you to sit up on something. So you might sit on a blanket, you might sit on a block. You can also just sit on the floor. That's totally fine. I'm just going to sit on a blanket because my ankles don't like this so much. So we're going to take Sukhasana. And I want you to see if you can really bring your feet as close to being underneath your knees as possible. Okay. And then I want you to sit as tall as you possibly can, closing the eyes and bringing your awareness into your back body. So with your awareness in your back body, does it feel like the backs of your shoulder blades are stacked over your pelvis? Does it feel like the backs of your earlobes are stacked over your shoulders? Does it feel like you can soften any tension in the mouth? So maybe your teeth part slightly and your jaw just kind of hangs your mandible. And then from here, with the eyes still closed, cross your right hand more towards the center of your spine. So it might touch your right shin, it might touch the floor. Bring your left hand next to your left hip. Inhale, sit as tall as you can. And then exhale, start to draw the left low belly in and the right low belly towards the left knee. And you're doing this with your eyes closed so that your head doesn't careen you into this. And so some of you may notice then that right hand can slide over to your left knee. Some of you will notice that maybe the left hand can slide a little bit further back behind you, but I want you to feel into it, and you can feel into it by noticing how you're breathing. So every inhalation helps you find more length through the vertebra. Every exhale draws the belly into the spine and sort of wraps it around like the stripes that go around a candy cane. You're lifting up and then everything's wrapping around. Happy little candy canes. Oh yeah, look at that. We're finding as much length as we can. So it might feel like there's a little bit of arch in the low back. And then notice if we can soften any tension around our left shoulder. Yep. And you're just wrapping the candy cane stripes around your candy cane spine. Now, and you just got 2 more breath cycles here, and you're just noticing what it feels like to really just be within the spine, within the body, within the experience. And then as you're ready, you'll gently inhale, you'll come back through center. Let both hands rest on their respective thighs and just take a moment to pause. Take a moment to breathe. Notice what you notice. And then we'll try all that to the other side. So the left hand might touch the left shin, the right shin, wherever it touches in front of you. Right hand comes out to the right. Inhale, just lift up tall, and then exhale, start to pull the right low belly in towards the spine, the left low belly over towards the right knee. You might find that as you're there, the left hand wants to come towards the right knee, the right hand wants to come a little further back behind you. But you're letting it happen internally. And then you might, notice, that's fun. You can push down into your left hip, and you might feel more stuff across the left shoulder from the right hip to the left shoulder. And notice if your head is parallel-ish to the floor, if your chin is jutting up or jutting down. And then just breathe. Every inhalation finds length. Every exhalation finds more of the rotation. And you just got a few more breath cycles here, breathing and pausing and breathing. Nice job. One more breath cycle here. As you're ready, you'll inhale, you'll come back through center. You'll just allow the hands to land on the respective thighs and just take a moment to sit tall and just to breathe. Okay. As best as you can, without ruffling your energy too much, switch whichever shin bone is in front. And then from here, I want you to move any flesh from underneath your sit bones. And if your blocks are nearby, you might want them, you might not, but you're just going to start to hinge forward at your hips and just take a gentle forward fold. I got you, Sandy. Or you got you. And you're just going to take a moment to pause. And you're just going to take a moment to breathe. And you're going to feel what this feels like to really breathe into your outer hips. And then I want you to notice if the spine is long or if you immediately went to rounding it. So first, see if you can find the length so it'll feel like you're blossoming your buttocks back behind you. The spine will be long, and then you can allow the chest to melt forward. But you're just breathing here. And we'll just take 2 to 3 more breaths before we switch sides. And just notice you can breathe into your hips. You can breathe into your body. You can breathe into the life and the relationships that require a bit of breath. That's a fun color, Roberta. And then as you're ready, we're going to gently start to walk our hands back, start to bring our spine up. And again, it's like you're rolling from the tailbone all the way up so we don't disrupt the nervous system. And you'll take a moment to just be still and center. And then when you feel like you've taken that moment, you'll switch legs and you'll do the same thing once again, just so we're even in our hips. So crossing the shins, removing any of the flesh, and then starting to hinge forward at the hips, making it first as much of a diagonal as we can so we get the outer hip flexors. And then you might round in through the upper spine just to get the upper back to get some release too, but you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. And you just got about 5 steady breaths here. Nice work. Take one more breath cycle here. And then as you're ready, I'll start to walk the hands back. I'll start to roll up the spine and come back up to center. Once you're vertical, just take a moment to be still, letting the vertebrae stack. Okay. If you were using blocks, you might need to open your eyes just to remove your blocks. And then we're going to go ahead and extend our legs forward in front of us. So surprisingly, we didn't do a forward fold this entire practice, which is why we're doing all of them right now. Go ahead and remove the flesh outside of your hips. And again, you're going to hinge forward at the hips, starting to reach your sternum forward towards your toes. You might grab your feet. The hands might stay on the floor. You might bend the knees if you're like, this is not going to happen with straight legs. But you really want to reach the heart forward first, finding as much length through the vertebra. And then as you're ready, you might melt the chest towards your shin bones and fold in for Paschimottanasana. But you'll just take 4 to 5 breaths here, finding the ability to be calm and quiet. And you're just breathing, letting the head be heavy. Yeah. Very gently, if you're holding on the feet, release the feet, start to walk the hands back towards the hips, start to push down into the floor to roll up through the spine. And then find your best seated position ever. So you're flexing through the feet, the heart comes forward, the shoulder blades slide down, the collarbones open, and the head just floats on top. Okay. Very gently, those that are here are gonna, actually all of you can do this, turn around and face the back of your space. And then I want you to slowly make your way onto your backs. Your blocks, for most of us, are still near the top part of our space, so that's good. So you'll just lay down. You'll just lay down. And when you find yourself on your back, I want you to find the best back position you found all day. Now, for some of us to find our best back position all day, that might mean that we need to do or want to do some gentle windshield wipers of the hips first. You might bend the knees and plant the feet firmly on the floor and let the legs fall over to one side and then the other. For some of us, that might mean we take a constructive rest position to find our best back position on the floor ever. Some of us might need to do a little happy baby action or figure 4 action. Some of us might want to find a supported bridge pose. But you've got the next minute or so to explore what feels good to you to find your best back action. And so you do you. And again, the breath will tell you if that is like a great choice for you. So you just notice, how does the breath change as you take in different shapes? The purpose of the shapes isn't to do the shapes. The purpose of the shapes is to notice how you're breathing. It's to bring yourself back to the present moment so that we can remind ourselves that that's all that meditation is doing. That's really all that genuine, authentic living is doing. So that's all you're doing. If you did something asymmetrical, please visit the other side. My friends that are in constructive rest, maybe walk your feet so they're outside of your hips. Yeah, so that you don't have to hold the legs. And then those of you that are in bridge pose or supported bridge, notice if you can maybe allow the palms to face up. Allow the hands to widen away from the body as much as need be, so it feels like the shoulder blades are on the back and lift the heart. And then as though your pelvis was an elf on a shelf, let it really rest there. I'm really thinking about Christmas today. This is funny. Okay. And then you just pause and you breathe. And you've got about one more breath cycle here. And then I want you to start to make your way towards whatever your final resting pose will be. So maybe you might stay as you are. Maybe you might take Supta Baddha Konasana or traditional Savasana, but you choose for you. And you're finding your way into your best relaxing pose. Great. And as you find yourselves into your final relaxation pose, I do encourage you to take the opportunity to fidget and wiggle around until you feel really super settled and comfortable. So sometimes that might mean that you move the big bony things like your legs and your shoulders and your arms. Sometimes it might mean that you gently open and close the mouth a few times so your jaw relaxes. Sometimes it might mean that you press lightly into the back of your head and then gently roll it a little bit from right to left so your neck relaxes. Would you just take a moment and you allow yourself to find a sense of support in the floor so that you can find ease in the body. Yeah, so that you can find spaciousness in the breath. And then as we settle in, I want you to take 3 big breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with every exhalation, you allow more and more of the body to drop into the support beneath you. With every inhalation, you allow more space, more ease to enter into the body. And then you'll just continue to be here with you for the next few moments, next few breaths, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger here, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready to move on, you'll allow gentle movement to re-enter into your physical form in whatever way feels good to you. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, will gently start to extend the arms alongside your ears and stretch and wiggle and yawn in any way that feels good to you. So then make your way onto your side and pause there for just a few breath cycles. Gently start to roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand, bring your spine up to vertical. And then when you do find yourselves vertical, I do encourage you to sit as tall as you can and as well as you can. So maybe sit on a block, maybe sit on a blanket, just sit well. And with the gaze still soft or the eyes closed, you just take 3 breaths, noticing what it feels like to really have the backs of the shoulders stacked over the hips, the backs of the ears in alignment with the shoulders, to reach up through the crown of the head as you drop the jaw and the tongue and the mouth. The thing that you are doing right now, one of the most powerful tools and resources that we as human beings have. It allows us to regulate the mind. It allows us to regulate our emotions. And so that gives us the power to choose how we wish to show up in the world, how we wish to show up in our lives and our relationships for ourselves and for others. So as you are here for these last few moments and last few breaths, I invite you to notice where in your life you might be aided by reminding that you can breathe through whatever difficult thing might be going on. You can breathe through whatever pleasurable thing might be going on. And then when you feel ready and complete, you'll go ahead and bring both hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum. Lift your sternum back towards your thumbs. And then soften any unnecessary tension in your neck. Exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be timed. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light within me honors and salutes the light within each of you. Namaste.